candidates in 33C to address Common Core. 19 states currently have pending legislation to repeal Common Core. How do you feel about it? And are you for it, opposed to it? What's your position on that going forward?
My wife's a teacher. I've looked at some of the park tests, and I challenge anybody in this room to take a test and pass it. I think it's a travesty, and we're wasting our youth. I'm totally against it, and if we can repeal it, we repeal it immediately.
Vivian?
I agree with Russ. The things I see with Common Core are not going to advance our children technologically, mathematically. It's just basically hurting our children, and it's not preparing them for advanced careers. It's preparing them for menial careers, and that's where, again, I think that it should be repealed.
Katie?
I think the idea of having all the states on the same education is a good idea in case, like the teachers brought up, if they move from a different state to another, they're in third grade, they're not totally ahead or behind. So the idea and the concept is good. However, speaking as a parent who's working with a student, doing this homework, it's near impossible for parents to help the kids do their homework. I feel crippled as a parent trying to help a third grader, an 8-year-old. I cannot do his homework. The teachers flat out tell the parents, don't worry, if you can't do it, send it back to school, because the teachers don't want the parents helping because we're teaching them the wrong way. We're trying to teach them our way, not their way. So in that respect, I think it's very challenging for the parents to try to help their kids with their homework and study.
Elizabeth?
I think we're in the infancy of Common Core. You know, anytime we change into a new venue, when it was IGAP, when it was ISAT, all those changes, it took a little while to get used to them. I know that in the past when I taught math, we had purchased a very advanced math book for the kids. And for the first few years it was difficult. But then after a while it got easier and easier. I think what Common Core is, instead of starting at kindergarten and progressing, we're putting Common Core at all grade levels at once, if you understand what I'm trying to say. So instead of sitting at kindergarten, then doing it with kindergarten, then first and second and third, they'll have more of a background in Common Core. The idea of it overall is good. You know, you're pushing the kids a little bit harder, more critical thinking skills, which the kids need. So, like I said, it's in its infancy. I think we have to give it a chance. I really do. But I see the kids doing a lot more difficult work, a lot of explaining their problems, not just multiplying or doing an equation, explaining how did you do this, what is the thought process behind it. And that's what we're trying to get our children to do. So, in effect, it's in its infancy. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I have serious concerns about the Common Core. I do agree that in theory it sounds like a great idea. Let's get everybody on the same page. Let's establish goals and things that we want all kids to be able to achieve. It's not a bad idea in that sense. What I have a problem with is that it, I believe, is a front group for private interests that are looking to make money from the textbook industry, from the textbook testing companies. I believe that we're over standardized testing our children, and that ultimately the true motivation behind Common Core is truly to defund public schools by setting the bar so high that no schools will be passing, and a lot of the funding is attached to the pass rate. For example, the National Governors Association is supposedly who is responsible for Common Core. There's not a single governor on the National Governors Association. It is 100% a textbook. I believe it was, don't quote me, Pearson who was involved in that, as well as the AP College Board. And I'm simply concerned that these private interests are masking what looks like could theoretically be a good idea behind something that is extremely financially motivated at the expense of our children. There were no university professors who are considered to be the national leaders on curriculum that were involved in the curriculum, as well as the fact that this one mother testified it's not developmentally appropriate. So again, I'm very open-minded to the idea of streamlining goals and making sure that everyone's on the same page. Of course, that's a good thing. Is Common Core, in my opinion, coming from the right place, and is it the right way to do it? I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Question? Steve?
I have a yes or no answer question for everybody that's running. I'm a homeowner, and I tried to sell my home, and the real estate people told me that I can't sell it for anywhere near what I paid for it 12 years ago. And the reason is that the taxes are too high. And in order to qualify for a loan for my home, somebody has to make a hell of a lot of money to have that income to pay the taxes and the other bills associated with it. So my question is, knowing that everybody that lives in all the school districts are having the same problem as I am, when their property value is not going up from increased taxes. Now, do you feel that by increasing salaries for teachers and staff increases the level of education for students? Yes or no? By increasing the amount of money that you pay to teachers and staff, does that increase the quality of education for the students? Yes or no? Understanding what I just said about the taxes.
This is a no.
No.
Katie?
Is that all we can say is yes or no?
Yes or no?
I'll just say yes, and that more motivated teachers of the district are going to bring more to the table for our students. I mean, anyone that's an employee is looking to get an increase. It's only
You suggest or no?
I say yes.
I will not say yes or no because I need to qualify my answer. So that's how I feel. I'm not going to do just a yes or no.
Kind of the same way, I would say research says yes. Research says yes.
All right, well, let me do a follow-up question. Yeah, all schools, okay.
You want me to?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
So I'll have a follow-up question to that first. For Homer 33C, Homer 33C salaries have increased 35% in the last 7 years. Do you believe that was justified?
No.
No, and there is no correlation between salaries of teachers and education outcome in terms of achievement. So I say no.
35% no.
If you look at the Illinois State Report Card, and if you take the average of teachers' salaries in Homer in our district compared to the 2014 average salary for the state, the teachers are behind.
So you believe the 35% increase over 7 years?
It's not a 35 increase. Well, what you have to take into consideration, I think from 2013, and I was actually anticipating that particular question, the increase does not come out in the course from 2013 to 2014. It is, I think it was only about 18% in that time frame.
7 years it was 35.
That time frame overall.
7 years.
Homer District has been behind. And if we want to keep quality teachers, we need to be competitive with all the other districts that are around us. That's my opinion.
Julie?
I would agree in the sense that we are competing with other districts in the area, that absolutely we need to be mindful of the fact that teachers will leave if they have the opportunity to go 10, 15 minutes in any direction for a higher salary. However, given the current context that it was obviously a very, very bad economy for the last decade or so, I think 35% is very high.